Hello, everybody and viewers. Welcome to my podcast, co hosted by Zane Mason. Together, we are here to talk about hate and what it means to be a person of color. And Zane here is going to introduce the topic for today's sort of podcast.
All right. What's up, everybody who's listening out there? Today, me and Tyler just wanted to talk to you guys about what it means to be a person of color and how we can combat the hate in the community. So, Tyler, what do you think?
So basically, what this podcast will be, the format will is we're gonna be taking interviews of people, and after hearing their stories, we're going to try to brainstorm ideas and execute the ideas in creating sort of a space where everybody is included and everybody is treated as an equal, and there are not disparities in like the race sort of setting. And yeah, so let's get to it.
So, before we start the interview, is there anything you want to say to the audience?
Free my boys. Um, free my boy Fetty. Free my boy Three. Um, free Sauce Money. Shout out to 33rd.
All right. So, for our first question in our interview, we wanted to know what does being black mean to you?
That's a great question. Being black, I think there's a lot of things that go with it. I would say specifically for me, it's um, being born with a cultural identity that was created out of an identity that was stolen. So for myself, I don't really like to consider myself African American because I don't know anything about my African culture. I don't know where my family originates from in terms of the continent of Africa because of slavery. And so instead, I consider myself to be black, which is being born in America, also known as African descendants of slaves. I equate that to being black. So yeah, that is my. That's what being black means to me.
All right. What is your earliest memory of being racially profiled or discriminated against because of the color of your skin?
Earliest memory, um, because of the color of my skin. I actually, it's not a funny story, but I can look back on it and laugh, but it's not funny. When I was in kindergarten, back in the day, I was born in the 90s. And at the time, overalls were a popular piece of garment to wear. I wore a pair of overalls to school, and a kid called me Farmer Brown, a white kid. At the time, I didn't like really think about it as anything racist, but like he could have chose some different colors, but he chose brown. Yeah.
Completely in the wrong. I can see that. Yeah. And how has being black affected your daily life?
It affects me, yeah, every single day. I think one of the things is about being black, you constantly have to think about your race and how your race impacts how other people see you, how other people treat you. So, like, for example, like not being loud or drawing a lot of attention to myself in public places, thinking about the type of language that I use, thinking about not trying to portray stereotypes that are usually associated with black males. Try to think about how do I present myself to not be a threat to people. So it's always a constant thought in my mind. Like I always have to think about how my race impacts how other people see me.
Yes, sir. That's very sentimental. And how have recent events such as the BLM movements or the shootings, such as the Buffalo shooting, affected your mental health lately?
Um, it's been hard. I would say that it's impacted my mental health a lot. I would say since the BLM movement really started, that's kind of what really, like, I've always been proud of being black. But at the same time, I would say before BLM, I don't think I was doing a lot to like promote the wellness and the greatness of black people, and also like helping uplift my people. And so that really inspired me to get out there and inform people that we're not a threat, that we're people just like everyone else. And then, when you have these tragedies, I would say I can't speak for another other minority groups, but I know for the black community, like we kind of see each other as family. When we walk, like when I walk past another black person and I don't even know them, like we give each other head nods. And so when things like that impact my community, it feels like it's impacting my family, and it's tough because it also shows that there are still people who see us as less than other, and see us as subhuman, and that could be tough to a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. And for last but not least, what is one thing you could say to the world about racial discrimination crisis?
I would say that the racial discrimination crisis has not gotten better over the years. It has not gotten better since Jim Crow. That is not the truth. It's more prevalent now than ever. It's just hidden in a lot of places. And unfortunately, a lot of those people have been emboldened to show that discrimination now to the public. Um, but it's a battle that we're still fighting, and it's one that we can't fight alone. We need allies by our side, and not just white people, but all people, in order to end the discrimination. So, yeah, it's things haven't gotten better, but I will say we do have more allies now more than ever, which is good.
Shout out to Mr. Davis for doing this interview, 7th to 8th grade science teacher and advisor, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hello, everybody. Before we start this interview, my name is Tyler Kim, and I'm here to give my interview on a person for the Stronger Than Hate contest. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Matthew Whitehead Jr. I'm a friend of Tyler, and he has asked me to come up on this podcast to um, talk about my experience on what being black uh, is like. So, yeah.
Thank you. So, for the first question we have, what does being black mean to you?
Um, I think it means being a person of color. Um, I'm different from everybody else. I'm the different part. Um, but I'm still a human being. We're all still human beings, um, and pretty much it's gonna be like that for a while now.
Yeah, and everybody should see everybody as human beings. I think that is essential. For this next question, what was your earliest memory of being racially profiled or discriminated against because of the color of your skin?
This actually happened when I was around 4. I'm pretty sure. Um, my mom had gotten pulled over. Uh, Cop said it was for speeding. Yeah, we were going the actual speed. It was like 20 miles an hour. And so we pull up to the gas station. The officer comes up and he has this flashlight all in my mom's eyes. And he says lessons registrations. And I peek out the window to see, and I see that he has his hand on his left hip. And that's usually where, like, I'm pretty sure that's where the gun is or the taser is. So, my mom was very calm about it. And I think that if she did one wrong move, could have gone wrong.
I'm sorry to hear that. I know it must be hard um being profiled different, and like when a simple interaction goes like it might go wrong. It's very scary. I'm not able to experience that, but in a way I'm able to be sort of there, and yeah. How has being black affected you in your daily life?
Um, well, I don't think it's affected me, but more of, well, actually, yes, it has affected me. Um,
It's like a
there's,
lingering thought that you.
yeah, uh, I'm not able to do as much. I'm not able to go around and um, walk around freely without, someone asking me, do I need anything? When I'm just looking around, I'm not there to buy anything. Um, just seeing what prices are in stores, and I'm expected to do a lot more than what I'm actually capable of,
Mm,
just because of the color of my skin.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that once again. On to the next question we have. How have recent events such as the BLM movements and the shootings affected your mental health?
Uh, um, it's terrifying. Um, it's gotten to a point where I am afraid to go to school. I'm afraid to walk out in public. I'm afraid to do all these daily things that you know we as people, and I'm talking about everybody, should be able to do. We should be able to walk around freely. We should be able to do whatever we feel like that's comfortable to us without having to worry about something bad going wrong.
Mhm. Thank you. For the last but not least, what is one thing you want to say to the world about the racial discrimination crisis?
Um, don't discriminate.
It's
Uh,
that simple.
yeah.
Hmm. Thank you, Matthew, for your time on this show. And while we aren't able to give you like a resonant and like sound solution, well, we're gonna go in depth in the podcast with your interviews, with our interviews that we circulated, and we're gonna try to create or like to make it known the first step and what that first step is to move towards a world where everyone is seen as equal and is an equal. And I want to thank you once more, and thank you. Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
for having me.
Yeah. My name is Tyler Kim, and I'm here joined by two students to give an exclusive interview on my Stronger Than Hate podcast with Zane. So, please introduce yourselves. I forgot to say that.
My name is Dante.
Thanks for joining me today. What does being black mean to you guys?
Question. I think that's a complicated answer. I'm gonna be honest though. I really feel like other people will identify you as black. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like for me, like I really didn't like think of myself like I
As
didn't
like
really label myself until like
people
started
labeled
like
you.
yeah.
But so, is there like any way you identify in like the way that people identify you as, or do you just think that like that's what they identify you as, so you have to
No,
kind of follow along? Or
no, like I didn't identify as black.
what about you, Dante?
What Nell said?
Nice. Yeah, because other people are identifying you. It could. What was your earliest memory of being racially profiled or discriminated against because of the color of your skin?
Go first, baby.
Okay, so how has being black affected you in your daily life? And like,
Probably like being in. I remember once I was in a store, and I was with a group of friends who were being followed and stuff. Yeah.
it must be very
That
hard
seems
having to deal with that, and you're just out there trying to be, kids, and you just have to be followed by adults that think different, which I'm very sorry for that. On to the next question. How have recent events such as like the BLM movements or the recent shootings affected your mental health?
I felt like the recent shooting, like it was crazy and stuff. That like people like that really exist. And I
It's
felt
just
like
mind blowing.
yeah,
It's like, why would they do that in the first place? Like, we're all the same people.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like we are all equal, but they view differently.
Like it made me think that like there were like people out there
Yeah.
that just really hate people.
What is one thing you would want to say to the world about the racial discrimination crisis?
Uh, that we should just like make peace.
Make peace indeed. Yeah, and this could mean maybe coming together as a whole and just agreeing that everybody is same, everybody is equal.
Yeah.
I think that's it for today's podcast. I want to thank you, Dante, for joining me. And as for this podcast, we will be exploring how to take that next step, as we were talking about how to come together and just say we're all equal and such. Yeah. Thank you. How has being black affected you in your daily life?
I gotta be careful with what I do now, because like I'm more likely to get in trouble for shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I can't just like be. I gotta think about like how others might see what I do. And then
For the next question, how have recent events such as the BLM movements or the recent Buffalo shooting affect your mental health?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because like it's not good to see like that people can't be safe in like their own spaces, right? Because like
Just going about their daily lives.
yeah, and like spaces like the people in Buffalo were like out in like a racist part of town and everything, and that happened. Like they were in their own community where you should be able to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like around other people. You know what I'm saying? So for that to happen there,
It's
like, yeah.
And that pretty much is what we're trying to create, a safe space where everybody is included, and it's not just an inclusive community for a specific type of people. We want to create or try to encourage people to have a safe space for everybody, for everyone. And yeah, that leads into our next question. What is one thing you would want to say to the world about the racial discrimination crisis?
Like we're all human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we should really analyze where your judgments and your like point of view is coming from. You know what I'm saying? Because like have you is that from like experience, like you've been around a bunch of people, or is that just from like what you heard?
You haven't had your first own experience, and you're already profiling them from things you might have heard or things that are untrue or thank you now for your time. I really appreciate it, and this podcast is to learn what the next step will be to creating a safe space for everyone. Thank you once more, and yeah. Hello, this is My Stronger Than Hate podcast. I'm joined by
Niall.
and yeah. So for the first question, what does being black mean to you?
You got like there's not really a measurement. You know what I'm saying?
It
like,
shouldn't be.
Some people think that like if you can get pulled over if you get pulled over by the cops and get searched for no reason, then you good. You know what I'm saying? Some people say that. You know what I'm saying? That eye test, but like it's really like it's a complex issue. You know what I'm saying? But of course, there's like white people that have black because they raped a black person or something. So, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a tough. It's real complicated.
What was your earliest memory of being racially profiled or discriminated against because of the color of your skin?
I was like when I first came here. When we moved to Washington, we moved to Seattle first. I think it was like foursome, and somebody sprayed like the N word on our garage, right? And I remember like going out there. I said like, "What does that mean?" And my mom had explained that shit to me.
So finally realizing what that word meant and the history behind that word. How has being black affected you in your daily life?
I'm saying it's a lot of pressure. I feel like black people, like if they don't want to get stereotyped, they have to live to try to counter stereotypes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like if I find baggy clothing comfortable, right, but I'm trying to not get stereotyped or profiled, I would have to dress in a way that makes me might feel uncomfortable just because I don't want to be profiled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you have to fit standards that are set by somebody else.
Yeah.
And you're not in your own safe zone.
Yeah.
Which leads us into the next question. How have recent events such as the BLM movements and the shootings affect your mental health?
Honestly, like I said before, like it happened in a safe place.
Safe place for
yeah, but here comes the BLM movement. Like I ain't gonna lie,
it brought awareness. Right?
That kind of pissed me off though, because people start saying white lives matter.
Yeah, because then it brought the furious debate.
Good, but no, it's just like everybody everybody knows that. Like that doesn't matter because we're not treated like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
the movement was started because of the inequality. It's not to take away from already the white people who are
and they saying like I made it one. And they saying like white lives matter, but like I don't be seen like if a white person got like shot at a traffic stop and they didn't have anything in the car, people would be fuming. That might change to law. That might lead to law changes and everything.
Yeah, right? People in higher ups.
Exactly.
But then if you see somebody of the reverse skin color and something like that happens, it's oftentimes just frowned at or just shaken away as seeing something. Oh, it happened. There's not much we can do about it. Which I think the BLM was there to kind of create about that social injustice in general with cops and such things.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Like honestly, like I feel like it just brought to light stuff that's been there for a long time. Like there's a lot of inequalities, just like with everyday light, and I feel like when people end up getting killed, it's just like that brings up. But it was like it's been going there, but it's sad because it has to get caught on camera for people to realize.
Like if it's just said that it happened, people won't believe.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that leads us into our next question. What is one thing you want to say to the world about the racial discrimination crisis?
Like, where are you getting your information from? You know what I'm saying?
Just don't believe everything. Exactly. Like that's not what's exactly on the paper. There's things that's behind what gets written in the paper.
Exactly. Like we picture cotton. Like what's good with you, bro?
Yeah.
Like you are free labor and everything. So, you know what I'm saying? Like honestly, and like I feel like when like people weren't seeing like as like humans and stuff, like that's when you can get into trouble because you're not seeing somebody as a person, and it's easy to like say that's not a person, so like, you can treat them all, but like I feel like when you see people as people, then like that can affect them. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like
so you want everybody to be seen as a person, and treated as a person, not to have inequalities and any sort of and I agree with that. But our podcast was created to answer those questions. How do we create a world where things are all equal and everybody is treated equally? And that's what we're going to be discussing soon. And that concludes the end of the interview. Now, thank you. It was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you now.
Thank you for listening throughout the interviews we had. I just wanted to say that it's very insightful that we're able to hear their stories and how they are their individual being, and not just they should not be branded as something that they are not, obviously. And this kind of relates to the big question is taking what is the next step, and that's obviously reparations and healing, or like apologizing for that action, and we'll touch up on that later. But first, let's bring it over to Zane and what he has to say about this.
All right. I thought those are some very interesting answers. And I just want to say thank you to Matthew, Niall, and Mr. Davis and Dante for taking their time out of their day to do the interview.
Indeed.
And the interviews, honestly, have given me a lot of insight on how they feel about the situation that we've been going through for the past years. A lot, actually, since the beginning of time, really. I mean, since slavery, this has been a battle that we've all constantly been fighting. And
Oh, bro, you just bugged out for me. Hello? Oh, you bugged out for me. Hang on.
means a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Hey, Zane. You bugged out at the part where you went like constantly or something like that?
I swear my internet is so
No, it's okay. So like when you thanked Davis and like the others, can you go from there again? In 3,
Yeah.
2, 1.
Yeah. Thank you to all the participants in the interviews. And honestly, they gave me a lot of insight because being a person of color, being black, means a lot of different things for different people. I don't want to categorize everyone into the same boat because for me, being a person of color definitely means a different thing than Niall or Matthew, for example. But for me, I feel like being black specifically means that we have to fit into other people's standards just in everyday life. Like what Matthew said, he has to watch what other people think and how they feel just based off of his actions. And that's really not fair just for everyone because all of us deserve to have rights and just do everyday things without worrying about other people.
Yes, and I would like to touch upon that topic of how you're putting yourself out and how like other people might view you. I think that's very unfair, and I know it's just like it's been a generalized thing because of the stereotypes that surrounds the community around that, and I'm once again very sorry for that. But that sort of leads us into like the reparations and healing section because it really does make me think that all of these hate crimes and stuff were fueled by hate. But I feel like the first step to combat that is if we can get those people who did that to really apologize and learn or acknowledge what they did was wrong, and if they're maybe 10 years or 20 years in the future able to come and and say that they're sorry, I feel like that would be a huge first step for mankind alike because it shows somebody is able to change their mind, which all people are able to do. It's just it isn't done that much really. And yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's really true, Tyler. I really support that statement. I feel like the first step to healing in any way is realizing that what they did was wrong. So, yeah, obviously we can't go back in the past. We can't change what we do after it's done. But definitely the first step is realizing that it's wrong. And then going by there, we can all take a stand. And the more people that understand what they did was wrong, the more likely we are to make a bigger change just as a community as a whole, because I feel like all of us have to take a stand or take a part in changing what's been going on for these past years.
Yes.
To change the thing. Like, it takes more than just a few people realizing what it was wrong, but we need to take action about that. Like, after we realize what's wrong, that's okay, but we really just need to go off that and keep fighting for a change.
Yeah, and I think that's a very valid statement or very, very valid piece that adds to that. And once again, just to make it clear, even if you might think like whatever you did wrong was very little, you should still apologize because that's the first step to any sort of problem or any sort of conflict. And we just want you to realize as a viewer or a listener, wherever you are in the world, that when you apologize, it shows that, or maybe it doesn't show, but for me personally, it shows that you're willing to take the next step into like that reparation and healing section once more. And yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Zane, is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, just lastly, I know that there are a lot of people out there that feel like they don't have a voice, but I just want whoever out there is listening to know that no matter how young you are or what you look like or the color of your skin, there's always something that you can do to make a change, whether it's making a podcast like me and my friend Tyler are doing, or art or music. There's always some way to make a change, and even if that change to you may not feel very important, everything counts. And I feel like as a community, we need to do that, even though it's definitely a problem that we can't change overnight. But
But
the
taking
more
that
we
first
realize,
step is, it can change.
it's the most important thing.
Yeah. And yeah, that could also mean expressing yourself with your hobbies or things you like to do, and really, yeah. So I think we are done here, and this is our submission to the Teaching with Testimony 2022 Stronger Than Hate Challenge entry. I hope that we were able to somehow give you insight on the daily lives of people, and that we hope that you are able to take that first step once more. And I want to thank you for your time, and yeah, have a great day.
Thank you.